Nick loved Breanna deeply, but love shouldn't hurt like this. Every day felt like a fight for her attention, a fight he always seemed to lose. Her priorities were elsewhere, leaving Nick lost in a sea of loneliness. He craved her touch, her gaze, her acknowledgement, anything to feel seen, to feel valued. The silence between them was deafening. It screamed louder than any argument ever could. He yearned to understand what went wrong, how their once passionate love story had turned into this icy tundra. Every unanswered text, every missed call chipped away at his heart. He replayed their happy memories, desperately searching for a sign, a clue, anything to make sense of the pain. Had their laughter been a facade? Were her promises empty? The questions echoed in the hollow chambers of his heart, each beat a painful reminder of their fractured connection. He was a ghost in his own love story, invisible and forgotten. Their fights were legendary, explosive, hurtful, and exhausting. It seemed every conversation became a battleground, littered with landmines of resentment and misunderstanding. Nick yearned for peace, for calm waters to navigate their issues. But Breanna thrived on chaos. Disagreements, no matter how small, escalated quickly. Simple misunderstandings morphed into screaming matches, leaving Nick emotionally drained and utterly defeated. He hated the fighting, hated the bitter taste it left in his mouth. Yet he found himself drawn into the vortex, desperate to be heard, to be understood. He longed for the days when their differences were met with playful banter and loving compromise. Now, every word felt like an accusation, every glance a challenge. Their love, once a source of comfort and joy, had become a battlefield, leaving Nick wounded and weary. Breanna had a knack for making things difficult, for building walls where bridges should have been. Information, even the simplest details, was held hostage, shared only on her terms, and often laced with a venomous barb. Nick felt constantly off balance, never quite knowing where he stood. Her silence was a weapon, used to punish and control. Days would pass without a word, leaving Nick to grapple with anxiety and self-doubt. Why wouldn't she just talk to him? Was he not worth the effort of honest communication? The unanswered questions gnawed at him, fueling his insecurity. He hated the constant guessing game, the uncertainty that clouded their relationship. He craved transparency, honesty, a safe space to share their thoughts and feelings. But Breanna seemed content to keep him at arm's length, hidden behind a wall of silence that grew taller with each passing day. Twisted games, cruelty disguised as love. Breanna's cruelty was a slow burn, a subtle poison that seeped into every aspect of their relationship. Her words, often disguised as jokes, were laced with barbs of disdain and disrespect. She seemed to relish in his discomfort, in the way his eyes would cloud with hurt at her cutting remarks. She had a talent for turning his insecurities against him, using them as weapons to wound and belittle. Nick found himself walking on eggshells, terrified of saying or doing the wrong thing, of triggering another one of her cruel tirades. He felt trapped, suffocating under the weight of her judgment. What hurt the most was her enjoyment of conflict. She would often involve her new boyfriend, using him as a pawn in her twisted games to provoke Nick's jealousy and anger. It was as if she derived pleasure from watching him squirm, from witnessing the pain she inflicted. Nick felt used, a plaything in her cruel and calculated games. Shattered promises, a heart left in pieces. In the end, their love story wasn't a fiery explosion, but a slow, agonizing fade. The passion that once burned so brightly had dwindled to embers, leaving behind a residue of resentment and heartache. Nick was left picking up the pieces of his shattered heart, trying to make sense of the wreckage. He was haunted by memories of their shared dreams, their whispered promises of forever. How could something so beautiful turn so ugly? The pain was a physical ache, a constant weight on his chest that made it hard to breathe. He had given her his heart, his trust, only to have it trampled and discarded. He knew he deserved better, deserved a love that nourished his soul, not poisoned it. But the heartbreak lingered, a constant reminder of the love he had lost and the lessons he had learned. He vowed to heal, to rise from the ashes of their toxic love stronger and wiser. And one day, when the wounds had finally scarred over, he would allow himself to love again, this time with open eyes and a guarded heart.